Where it goes from there. Where's my Technorama podcast?
Who am I?
This is not my beautiful wife.
That's all right. Yeah, it is. She's right there.
This is not my beautiful house.
Craig definitely is not your beautiful wife.
Actually, Brian should be singing that lyric. This isn't my house.
I was wearing my Slice of Sci-Fi shirt yesterday. I said, yes, the shirt came with the house.
Which one is it?
The one with the remote and the alien fingers.
Okay, yeah. It's the second or third one.
Mike had a few of them when he was doing the pool party in 2014. He goes, I got a few left. I said, sold.
What's the cost? Free. I'm there.
It came with the house.
Exactly.
Came with the house.
All right, let me go to videos. And we are streaming, so I'll mute that. And we are live. Awesome.
You changed my title.
Of course, John Miller Jr. is online. He's probably waiting for us when he gets to say Sunday night 9:30. I gotta get online.
I know. I need to share this, by the way.
Oh yes, I should too.
Yeah.
Tim Elliott too. Hi Tim.
Here on.
It's the All Apollo show.
What the stupid?
Welcome to the Apollo. Who's got the hook?
I used to work on Apollo workstations. I was the system administrator in the late 80s, early 90s. Nobody remembers Apollo workstations.
I do.
I don't have them on my resume anymore, but Domain OS was an interesting beast. I still remember the very arcane commands. I mean, it had... Sun called it the mnemonic debugger. When you first boot up, there was like a boot prompt.
Oh, yeah.
And then you could tell it to boot from the net or boot from the... Well, Apollo's had something similar. Maybe they called it the MD. I can't remember which one is which now. But that's where you said, I want you to format the disk, or I want you to recover the disk, or I want you to copy the... I'm trying to remember. Salvol? Invol?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You could boot net. It was an Apollo token ring, and if a hard drive died, which they sometimes did back in those days, your 380 meg drive went out on you, you could boot remotely from another one. You could say, hey, that's my partner. I want his operating system. As long as it was like for like on the hardware, you're a 3550 and I am a DN 3550. I could do that. And it was actually kind of interesting because you could get people back up and running. The problem was we didn't have any central server, so it was very distributed as to which three projects were on your hard drive that just went out.
There's a BBS I used to be on that was an Apollo-based BBS.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing was you had the core operating system was Domain OS, and then you had your choice of 3 different shells on top of it. The default was Aegis, which was Unix-like. Yeah. Instead of doing an SSH, you would do a CRP, which was Create Remote Process, but everybody called it Creep. Because you said creep on that host. They had a BSD.
They were actually referring to you, Chuck.
A BSD shell and a Sys5 shell as well. Jeez. So I can't remember. I think I stuck with default most of the time, as much as I was a Sys5 bigot at the time. But it was interesting, and we downloaded Emacs.
Let go of your prejudices.
Yeah, I'm having flashbacks. But anyway, we're not here to talk about an old dead operating system. So, who bought Apollo?
Hey, wait a minute. We're not above that, by the way.
I don't remember who bought it.
HP.
Oh, did they really? Okay. Yep. That probably sounds why a lot of their commands sound familiar.
It was HP Apollo. Then they came out with the PA RISC architecture on the Model 700s. And we sort of naturally migrated that way. Because when we first bought it, we bought the Apollos because of the software.
Right.
There was an EDA package that our engineers used for printed circuit board design, simulation, and layout. And they had that whole bundle. It was really nice. They architected together on one platform, but it was locked to Apollos. And then about 90, 91, they started working towards Unix. So they went to HPUX and Solaris.
Hupux.
Yeah.
That's what I learned after Solaris. So when I went to GHL, that was pretty much.
Which versions of Solaris? Where did you start on your Solaris journey?
6. Where's it 7?
I started with 7. Because I think they actually it was
say Solaris?
before.
Yeah.
It was they had that crossover version between
Right.
Sonos and Solaris.
Yeah.
So Sonos 5.7 was actually Solaris
So
7.
7, yeah. Because it was 5.7 is what I think really that I really cut my teeth on.
I think that's when it really got stable.
Yeah, pretty much. That was pretty much what I cut my teeth on. And then HPUX, I want to say 10. Yeah, maybe even 9.
I started on 6.2
Yeah.
and then 6.5, 7. I think I got off the bandwagon at like 10.20.
No, see, I got into we all went all the way to 11 plus when I was doing it at DHL because they were a huge HP shop. They moved from all the Solaris stuff to HP primarily. So,
What is this? Can you say a restraining order? What is John Miller Jr. talking about?
creep restraining order.
Ranger Craig is online. Good to see you. All right, we should probably begin. I think the audio levels are sane. Let's try.
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
That works.
Meh.
That's all we need. Okay. Level. Good. Craig, give me a check.
No, I'm not giving you anything. I'll give you some cash.
Okay, cash works. You're on Discord. You sound a little low. I'm going
Yeah,
to
you're
bump
a
you
little
up. That's better.
I think sometimes it does come across a little low, especially when
I can boost from here.
He's got that little background.
And sometimes it sounds lower than it actually is. I look at the meters on the recording and it's like, okay.
well, I hope you got
Trust
through.
those, even though my ears are saying no, but okay.
Yeah.
Do you trust your ears though, Chuck? For all these years?
That's what those
Yeah.
expensive
I was gonna
devices
say that right there.
charging up for.
And by the way, read the episode title tonight, kind of like Rocky and Bullwinkle when you at the end. Tune in for the next episode.
Okay, yeah, I got it. Thanks for the meeting. All right, here we go.
Hey, Rocky.
In 5, 4, 3, 2. Technorama episode 507. Tonight's episode title is The Eagle Has Landed, or Live at the Apollo. And that, my friends, is why we do this. Welcome to Technorama. This is the show that takes a lighthearted look at tech, science, sci-fi, and all things geek. If this is your first time joining us, thank you very much. Whether you're coming to us from iTunes or Google or Stitcher or what's the other one, Craig? Radio?
Public.
Radio Public.
Actually,
Radio Public. I kept wanting to say radio yesterday. It's like, no, that was my old podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Radio Public, but it looks pretty cool.
Thank you very much. It was recommended to us by Evo Terra to get listed there, so we said, why not? Another director can't hurt, and it's pretty open. Joining me as always is Craig Stepp. How are you, Craig?
I'm doing well. Doing good.
And absent from the studio for a while, but he's back, is Mr. Brian Brown.
Hi. I decided since you guys took a month and 3/4 vacation that I might as well do the same. You know, it's like... You know, why not?
We didn't authorize that, but okay.
Dock my pay, Craig. Dock my pay.
Right.
He's gonna get demoted back to trainee.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna trim some of the benefits you get around here.
Oh, what, cleaning the cat box? I mean, you know.
He's already been doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How low can you go?
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll let that one go.
All right, fine.
All right. We have feedback for our question of the week. Letters. Well, not really letters.
Your Facebook posts.
Mail.
Those letters, I love those letters.
Don't we love them all?
We love you all.
Oh boy, mailman, mail today.
All right. This just off the press.
What is this Facebook ad nearby? It's like recommendations. It's trying to sell me.
Property, I
Is it
guess.
a house for $650?
Rent, probably.
Oh, okay. It's the most nondescript ad on the side of this page. So our question of the week went on Facebook yesterday, and we said, what is your go-to video game, past or present? And we don't have time to read all 47 of these, but we'll get some of the highlights. Like Myron said Mortal Kombat. We've got some classics. Steve Asplin said Tempest. Evan Small, Counter-Strike, Global Offense. It's just interesting to see who's going old school and who's going new.
Right.
Galaga and Centipede are on there. Pong.
Pong, that's hardcore old school.
That's one of my high school buddies right there.
Yeah.
And somebody's looking forward. Wayne is looking forward to August 27th when he gets a WoW Classic.
No, I wouldn't. I played a bootleg WoW server, the WoW Vanilla as they call it, and it's so horrible. It's you think, oh, you have these great, rose-colored glasses. It's gonna be fantastic. No, it's a super grindy mess.
Not really.
Not so much.
Justin Deal gives us a few. He says Warframe seems to be my big one, but I'll be honest. Skyrim, Siren Calling,
lots of Skyrim.
Siren Call brings me back to at least once or twice a year since it comes out. So yeah, a lot of go-to people like to play the old ones once in a while. I do that as well. I'll get online and play an old game. Sometimes it's
actually
not even online.
The Internet Archive has a bunch of arcade games.
It does
that you can play.
Who was it that gave us the multi-part answer? I think that was on yours, wasn't it, Craig? You asked the same question. Oh, Gary Lindros. Yep. He said for the arcade, Galaga. For console, Sonic the Hedgehog. For PC, Age of Empires.
I discount Gary since he made a snarky comment about a C64, the Commodore 64, in another thread.
What? Did he offend you?
Yes, he did. Offended me horribly.
He what?
Yeah, I know. See, Craig, I was gonna tell you to gang up on him with me because, yeah, I know.
Don't mess with my Commodore.
Me either, man. Yeah, I was thinking about this too. Mine are definitely Mass Effect series for sure for PC and Civilization. I love the Civilization. I love that submarine DOS game. I remember it.
Dominic was one of the park rangers as well. Gato Growler, submarine DOS game version because you can hit Control Tab and fake a spreadsheet. It's a boss key. Remember?
Oh yeah, there are a lot of games that have that boss key. It's kind of hilarious. It's like it looks like a fake spreadsheet of some sort.
Wasn't there a Netflix thing that made Netflix look like Slack or something like that?
Oh yeah, there's some sort of Netflix mod that if you're watching Netflix at work, you can make it look like somewhere else. Yeah.
Only it drops into what was the movie game they came up with?
Game?
The choose your own adventure game that Netflix had.
Oh, the Black Mirror one?
Yes.
Bandersnatch.
Bandersnatch, yes. Yeah. That'd be funny if you're playing Bandersnatch.
Just at work. There's some good ones in there. Lots of old school ones I thought was cool. So
yeah.
A lot of cool old console ones too.
Dreamcast.
So what is yours, Chuck?
What is mine? My go-to game? Oh, I thought I had an answer for this. When you asked the question last week and I had an answer. I have to think because
it's kind of like your old. What's your movie you go to? There's always one.
Right.
It's like you can sit down and watch Shawshank over and over.
There's
again.
a number of them. If I see them, I will play them. Like console games. When we were at Dragon Con a couple of years ago, I walked up and played Centipede. Yeah, and the skills were a little rusty, but I remember the technique of how I used to play it. It's just my hand-eye coordination isn't what it used to be. Battlezone would be in there. Tron. I can't remember any of the patterns anymore. Oh. But I'm sure my hand will. It's just
I could mop you off the floor with Tron.
Probably at this point. There was a time when I could mop you, buddy.
I don't know.
Level 9 and 10 were not uncommon on a good night.
I spent a lot of money from my college fund in a Tron machine. So, just saying.
Yeah, I spent
that.
Yeah.
What about you, Brian?
The Mass Effect was, like I said, the Mass Effect trilogy and then Civilization for PC. Since I'm mostly a PC guy. But I mean, there's always games on the console, sure, like Shadowrun for Sega Genesis, which was amazing. I played that a lot.
Right, yeah.
But there's a lot of, old games too, like Commodore 64, Neuromancer is one of my go-tos. I played a lot of.
After the show, let's play Oregon Trail on the Apple II.
There you go. Oregon Trail. Lemonade Stand was always popular.
Wolfenstein, the original Wolfenstein.
VGA Trek. So.
What were the two on the PC Junior we used to play? Space Quest? King's Quest and what was the space one?
Space Quest, yeah. King's Quest and Space Quest.
And the space one had either ZZ Top or the Blues Brothers doing the little dance when they were in that Cantina Club.
Oh, okay.
It was really bad. It took me a while to figure out what ZZ Top song it was because it was going doot 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 doot.
Yeah. So lifelike.
It's like, oh, that's supposed to be sharp.
If it was on a Commodore 64, you could have told. But
yeah.
Anyway, for me, it was Tron and Gyrus. Those were my two favorite go-to games.
Joust was a good one. Missile command.
Punch out.
Gyrus. Gyrus.
I know. I heard
Okay.
what you said.
So I can mop anybody on that game. Just saying. Just throwing it out there. I know we've had, was it Claudio? I think it was. I'm still waiting on him to show up. And for the PC, I guess Quake. That was a big one. Quake and
For
Quake
the
2.
PC, I'd probably have to say it was Wolfenstein 3D.
Oh yeah.
I played that one the most. I mean, I didn't play a whole lot of PC games, but that was a good one too. And then you discovered how you could mod the environment, and you're putting graffiti on the walls.
Oh yeah.
Hitler sucks.
Right.
Good times.
All right, that takes us to the end of the feedback. We will have another question for you at the end of the show and post it on social media. All right, gentlemen, roll your D20. Craig, are you prepared?
No.
Oh, hold on.
Of course
Yes,
not.
of course
He's not.
not. He does. As soon as I say Brian's on the show, you should be running for that thing. He doesn't have the headphones on, so rip on him all that you want.
What a more. Oh, hey, Craig.
Right there.
As soon as I say Brian's on at the pre-show, you should be running to get those things.
They're in my backpack. They're like flip on.
And I love this. He puts them in his backpack, but he never uses them when he's on the road.
You don't know that. You
Yes,
don't know
I
that.
do. He's going to bring them to Dragon Con and forget them.
And they're never gonna. Yeah.
Wait a minute. I did use them at Dragon Con last year.
You had to
And
go up
and
to
you
the
used your
room and
own
get
nice-
them.
Wait, no, I got him. 15, 20 minutes later, he comes back
I got
down.
my own.
And everybody's like, shut up, Craig.
All right. I'm gonna
I just go, hey,
roll
Scott, you
over
got some
on you. Here we
spares?
go. All right. I'm going to put them back in the
Land. It
bag.
never
I got a
even
one.
rolled. It just sort of went thud.
I got a 1.
So
Great.
did I.
I win with an 8.
I got a 1 as well, Craig.
You both
Oh,
die
do
of
we
a
have-
paper cut.
And do we need to roll off?
Yep, roll off.
All right.
Geez, I had the same thing. It just died.
Roll for critical.
I got a 3.
I got a 7.
Okay.
All right.
Let's check
Wow.
Brian
Chuck-
Craig.
Chuck Bride Craig.
You
Okay.
know, I've had these dice for like 35 years. I'm going to see if I can return them.
You get your 35 cents back.
Yeah.
On this day in history for July 17th, 2019, this is the 198th day of the year of the Gregorian calendar. There are 167 days remaining in 2019. We're on the downside, folks. It was on this date in 1717 that King George I of Great Britain sails down the River Thames with a barge of 50 musicians where George Frederick Handel's water music is premiered. How appropriate.
Very nice. Also on July 17th, 1867, Harvard School of Dental Medicine is established in Boston. All right. It is the first dental school in the U.S. that is affiliated with a university.
Aha, that's the distinction.
Yes.
There you go. That same date in 1899, NEC Corporation is organized as the first Japanese joint venture with foreign capital.
NEC in 1899. That's not one you think of, is it?
No.
That's pretty old. 117 or 1170 years ago, Willis Carrier creates the first air conditioner in Buffalo, New York. Should have been in Phoenix, but we're all thankful for that.
Thank you. On July 17th, 1918, Tsar Nicholas II of Russia and his immediate family and retainers are executed by Bolshevik Chekists at the Optiev House in Yekaterinburg, Russia.
That's
Nice.
pretty good.
There we go.
Yeah, that's pretty close. Yeah.
What a bunch of Bolshevik.
Yeah, what a bunch of Bolsheviks.
It was also on this date in 1955 that Disneyland is dedicated and opened by Walt Disney in Anaheim, California.
Wait a minute. Did we or did we not just see a picture on the Svengoolie group on... Hold on. This is worthy of discussion. I got to pause the music. There was a picture on the Svengoolie group on Facebook that said from 1939 from Disneyland, and it looked like a scary Mickey and Minnie. I mean, they had like a dog muzzle on these things. It must not have been Disneyland, but it might have been a precursor to that.
Maybe, because Disneyland wasn't into the 50s.
Right. Yeah, he didn't come out with a theme park for a while, but they might have had something at the studio
Or testing or something.
It was creepy. It was. I'll have to share that one with the rest of the group. It was just creepy to say the least. Okay, unpause. There we are.
Yeah.
Where were we again? I was on this date in 1962 that the small boy test shot, Little Feller 1, becomes the last atmospheric test detonation at the Nevada National Security Site. Oh, yes, we love our nuclear atmospheric tests.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong, right?
Yeah, nothing.
Also on July 17th, 1975, an American Apollo and a Soviet Soyuz spacecraft docked with each other in orbit, marking the first such link-up between spacecraft from the two nations.
The handshake in space.
Across. Yep,
I remember that.
That was pretty cool. And July 17th, 1984, the national drinking age in the United States was changed from 18 to 21. And at the time, all 18-year-olds just,
Pretty much.
The 17-and-a-half-year-olds went, what?
yeah, I'm almost there.
It was 34 years ago today that the founding of the Eureka Network, that's all capitals, by former head of state Francois Mitterrand of France and Helmut Kohl from Germany.
Wow, okay. Was on this date in 1989, the first flight of the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber occurred.
89.
Yeah.
Wow.
Stealth bomber.
July 17th, 2001, the Concorde is brought back into service nearly a year after the July 2000 crash.
So they flew it a little bit more.
Yep,
And
just
then
in
said,
case.
nah, just kidding.
I saw a documentary on that thing. That was kind of interesting.
Happy birthday goes out of the state to German-American businessman and philanthropist John Jacob Astor. Not John Jacob Bastard.
Or Jingleheimer
Jimmy
Schmidt.
Schmidt, yeah.
Born on this date in 1763. Hey, wait, wasn't he on the Titanic?
No. Maybe, I don't know.
He would have been like,
Yeah,
150 years old.
Ephraim Shea, the American engineer, invented the Shea locomotive, was born 180 years ago today.
And Belgian priest, astronomer, and cosmologist Jorges Lemaitre was born 125 years ago today.
Nailed it.
Yeah, nailed it. Way to go, Craig. Good job. Good job. Bravo.
I can't
Some
see
friends
my
I
eyes
got.
are watering. Bernice Abbott, the American photographer, was born 121 years ago today.
James Cagney, see, American actor and dancer, was born on the same date in 1899.
Pretty bad guy.
Yeah,
see?
yeah, see, sure.
And born July 17th,
Wait, was that James
1912.
Cagney?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all.
I
Sorry.
was just going with it, whatever. Canadian-American radio and television host Art Linkletter was born today.
People are funny.
Yep.
Phyllis Diller, the American actress, comedian, and voice artist, was born 102 years ago today. I don't think she's still with us.
No. Gordon Gould, American physicist and academic, invented the laser, was born on the same date in 1920.
I think his real name was Gould and brought us the laser.
Gould.
He was one of the, never mind, SG-1
Yes.
reference.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So English car designer, co-founder of the Cooper Car Company. Wait for it. John Cooper was born 96 years ago today.
Nice.
Drive a Cooper or not. That was their sales pitch.
Yeah, pretty much.
As long as it's black. Wait, that's somebody else.
No, that's Ford, yeah.
Also born on the same date in 1929, Russian mathematician and academic Sergei K. Goodenough.
Good enough.
Yeah, that's right. You use
Yes.
this theorem all the time in math.
Also turning 84 today is Canadian actor and producer Donald Sutherland.
And the Duchess of Cornwall, Camellia, is born today on this date in 1947.
American producer, singer, and actor, The Hoff. David Hasselhoff is 67 today.
Also born on this date in 1954, American author, screenwriter, and producer J. Michael Straczynski. Yay!
Yay. And German chemist and politician, 8th Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel, is born on this date in 1954.
She's not doing so good these
No.
days. Also turning 64 is the American mycologist and author Paul Stamets. Yes, that Paul Stamets.
Nice.
Yes.
Canadian-American cosmologist and astronomer Wendy Freeman, born on this date in 1957. Cosmetologist and cosmologist, totally different things.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
where the stars are and fix your hair
And
at the same time.
time. We'll get your makeup done.
Right.
Yeah.
And last but not least, also turning 48 today is Canadian author and activist Cory Doctorow.
Happy
All
birthday
right.
to all of you. And the listeners that are on listener birthday this week include Lord Dumacus on the 18th and Nikolai from Dancing with Elephants, or the former Dancing with Elephants.
He's probably like got a family of his own
He's
now.
probably 18 now. It's golden
Yeah.
birthday. Because he was 4, what, about 14 years ago, so that would stand
You know
to
what?
reason.
You know what? I was just looking at their website, and the last podcast was in 2010.
Okay.
Well,
Kind of sad, but
happens.
Also, on the 23rd,
No, I mean, yeah.
Dave Perillo from Megapodtastic. Here, we'll give him a ding on that one, too. And Monty goes, Art-O-Rama. Happy birthday to all of you. If it's your birthday and you didn't happen to make it on the birthday calendar, well, thank you very much, and welcome to the rest of the world. You can get your birthday on the list easily enough over at chuckchat.com/wiki. And Craig, I gave Craig crap because his wife's birthday went by and it wasn't on the birthday calendar.
My.
I was respecting her privacy.
Aha.
Why start now?
Man, I don't know. It just seemed like a good idea.
At the time? Okay.
Well, then you better stop putting those pictures in the shower on
Yeah.
on Instagram.
What are you talking about?
Kim left this giant hairball in the shower after she showered. How dare she? Those ones, you know.
That's the way it was on this day in history for July 17, 2019. And we're going to fast forward a little bit because this is the week of the anniversary of Apollo. It's the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11, the day we landed on the moon. So I guess that would also include the launch is this week.
Yeah.
What would that be? The 17th. How come it didn't say history that they launched?
Well, no, because the launch is going to be before they landed. So
It wasn't a 3-day journey to get there?
I think it was 3. Yeah, 3.
Yeah,
If they landed on the 20th, they should have taken off on the 17th.
You're right, 17th,
I'm going to check
right.
Wikipedia. I think they might have been missing something. Anyway, let's get into our salute to Apollo. We hear salute to Apollo 11. We need dramatic music for that. And our first story is 11 things you may not have known about Apollo 11. Or maybe you did. So the landmark mission, I'm waiting for this page to finish loading. There we are. We won't go through all 11. You can find those through the show notes over at chuckchat.com/Technorama. But President Kennedy didn't really care about the moon. I believe that.
I think he just wanted to get to space first before the Russians, really.
Well, and the fact that you could put it. It showed supremacy. And in public, President John F. Kennedy made soaring speeches proclaiming that he was going to the moon to, quote, organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. But in private, he was pragmatic politician, more focused on earthly concerns. Quote, everything we do ought to be tied into getting to the moon ahead of the Russians. It was a political thing. Yeah. And he told NASA administrator, get this, he told NASA administrator in 1962, guess who the NASA administrator was? What? I'll give you a clue. He's got a telescope named after him right now, and it ain't Hubble. James Webb.
I was going to say Craig Stepp. What? Oh.
Yes.
He told James Webb.
I got 2 telescopes named after me in the corner over here.
I'm not that interested in space. Okay. The Apollo 11 crew had it to hawk their autographs for life insurance. What? Wow. The lunar spacesuits were created by a lingerie company.
Okay.
Well, try that.
Playtex, the company to cross your heart bra.
Hey, honey, you in the mood tonight? I'm wearing the Apollo 11.
I'm feeling really sexy tonight. Let me.
Imagine the commercials they could have. We went to the moon and look what we, walk in the bedroom.
Plug in my umbilical, will you? Yeah. Well, there's just a whole bunch of bad humor about that.
Yes.
Oh, I need a spacesuit with this one. Or hazmat suit.
Something.
NASA officials worried they might blow up their spectators because the Saturn V rocket was so big that during the test flight of Apollo 6 in 1968, they didn't really know if
how big the fireball would be.
Yeah, if it blew up, well, bad things could happen. Are the people far enough away? That's why when you see the people on the little bleachers, they're, a mile or so away from the launch pad?
Far away.
Oh, yeah.
Buzz Aldrin took communion to the moon. I did not know that.
It was in the movie.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He offered to share it when they were on the moon.
This one captured my attention. A felt-tip pen rescued the astronauts. I'm going to read real quick. In the cramped confines of the lunar module, Armstrong's backpack smashed against the ascent engine arming switch, the critical one which needed to light the ignition and begin the flight back to Earth, and it broke off.
Ouch.
Oops. Nice gun, Neil.
He's got to hotwire it.
Mission Control had no obvious fix, but the astronauts were old hands at improvising solutions with tricky problems. Aldrin pulled out a felt-tip pen from the pocket of his spacesuit and, quote, I inserted the pen into the small opening where the circuit breaker switch should have been and pushed in. Sure enough, the circuit breaker held. He recounted in his 2009 book, A Magnificent Desolation. We were going to get off the moon after all.
Can you imagine if they hadn't gotten off the moon and they are stranded there?
I mean, you would always, everybody would look up at the moon and go, there's dead people up there.
Yeah.
Yep. That would have been bad.
Yeah.
And a number of people were on the moon and they all got off. So
yeah, can you imagine if other missions that came after that one? Yeah.
Fly over the Sea of Tranquility. Will you?
Yeah, we're gonna pass the Sea of Tranquility. We want to go over there. Thanks. Bad luck. Bad luck.
Well, they got off, but they left a little something behind.
Yes, they
yes, they left their biological waste behind. We'll leave it at that.
Yes, they did.
And I love how in the early days, I remember this, they'd get back and they'd have to sit in that Airstream trailer for like a week.
Yeah, it's like, really?
They were quarantined. Well, you didn't know. Is there biological? Were they irradiated? Or they
I love the picture. It looks like Nixon's making fun of them.
How you doing?
We're here to laugh at you guys.
There's a sign on the window, please don't tap. It frightens the animals.
They need a little sign that says Homo sapiens. Okay.
Astronaut written in crayon. President Nixon was ready for Apollo 11 to end in disaster. Well, I know that they had to have the
contingency.
The letter to the widows ready if it didn't go so well. The U.S. flags put on the moon by Apollo astronauts are still standing, except for the one from Apollo 11. Oh, interesting.
My understanding is, too, is that they're no longer colored, probably, because of the radiation and atmosphere, that they're probably just white or severely faded. They don't.
Oh, the one that's on the moon right now, I believe, is.
Yeah.
They said. Yeah.
Kind of like how the Tesla is going to get irradiated and all the rubber will deteriorate.
Yeah.
It's not going to look so good. It's not going to be factory fresh when we see it next.
It's going to look like somebody stole the tires off of it.
Yeah. It's going to looks like you lived in the bad part of town.
All right.
I knew Saturn was a bad place.
When it comes to Buzz Aldrin, I really appreciate what he does. He's the guy who has to stand out. And our next article has 8 of the Apollo astronauts all gathered up for a photograph commemorating the 50th anniversary. And Buzz is the odd man out in this one, but I like his individuality, having grown up in a family of 9, and there just happens to be 8 gentlemen in this picture. They're all wearing their nice bow ties and tuxes, and
not Buzz.
Buzz has what looks more like something left over from Lawrence Welk's party.
No, it actually looks like Hugh Hefner.
Hugh Hefner, and his socks were the talk of the town on this, apparently.
Yeah.
So,
but look, his suit has little moons all over it.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
Moons and rockets.
There's a picture from right to left, from left to right. Charlie Duke from Apollo 16, Buzz Aldrin, obviously Apollo 11, Walter Cunningham from Apollo 7, Al Warden, Apollo 15, Rusty Schweigert. Wasn't he supposed to be one of the Apollo 11s?
Schwickert.
He was the backup guy, the Kevin Bacon character.
Yeah, that's in Apollo 13. Was it?
Apollo 13, yes, it was Apollo 13. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, apparently he was on Apollo 9.
But I don't think he went down. He was supposed to be. He had a different position, I think.
Harrison Schmitt, Apollo 17, last mission. Michael Collins from 11, and Fred Hayes from Apollo 13. The Fred Hayes. These are famous names. And, they're just ordinary guys. One of them kind of looks like Clint Eastwood.
Take your pick.
They had the right stuff. And there's another picture with a circle on Buzz's socks.
Yeah, the stars and stripes.
They were the spotlight.
The guy went to the moon. He can wear whatever he wants.
He's like, suck it, all you.
I can't wait to be his age and wear whatever the heck I want. I would wear Hawaiian shirts. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, wait. What?
Guess that.
Are you there, Chuck?
I'm there. That would have been a cool place to be and see those guys. Imagine getting a selfie.
Yeah.
Once in a lifetime. That would have been something. All right. 7 inventions. You know, we talk about Star Trek a lot and inspiring inventions that we have every today. But there were a number of things that the Apollo program brought us that we use today, still use today. Brian, why don't you take it away?
So we have number 1, of course, the famous Dustbuster.
Yes.
So basically, Black & Decker worked with NASA developing a lightweight, power-efficient tool for the Apollo lunar surface drill. So basically, the same motor design used in the 69 moon landing was used to create the Dustbuster.
Wait, why didn't they just take a hose and vent it out the window? That space is a vacuum.
Yeah. No, but
nature abhors a vacuum, and that's why I hate house cleaning. It doesn't get any better.
Thermal blankets, you know, the ones you see after marathon runners, they wrap around their shoulders, emergency patients, that sort of thing.
The kind they put on the children in the
immigration centers.
Sorry, too soon?
Too soon.
Yeah,
so those were obviously used for the astronauts when they went on their missions. Advanced cameras, obviously tiny, highly efficient cameras that we use in our cell phones, for example. GoPros, basically, thanks to NASA. You know, basically making smaller cameras because, you know, imagine that the ones that were like this big, you couldn't cram in a capsule very easily. So,
you can't take it on your space carry-on.
Yeah,
there's big cameras.
Fireproof firefighter uniforms. Basically,
really?
because the Apollo 11 mission,
the Apollo 1.
Yeah. Basically,
that's when they went oxygen. Bad idea.
But they put it in the Apollo 11 mission specifically.
Right. Okay.
Because of that. So, but yeah, after they killed all the ones in Apollo 1, guess what? They made the suits out of that flexible.
Wait, why did it take them from Apollo 1 when they had a fire to Apollo 11 to actually get fire retardant materials on
the... Took them a while to figure it out.
I don't want to be on 2 through 10.
Yeah, exactly. Just in case. Vacuum sealed food, you know, thanks to your... the thing that you allow you to vac pack stuff and throw it in your freezer.
Ron Popeil took advantage of that.
And the hair. Spray hair.
What?
I was going to say, I've had MREs. Those are similar.
That's a little different. That's from the military.
I mean, it's a little different. I mean, talking about the vacuum seal part.
What about Tang?
Tang actually wasn't in the moon missions.
Oh.
That's actually
that's just a marketing thing that they said this is the drink of astronauts.
So what it is they had developed it for the space program, but it was never used.
Oh.
So that's kind of an interesting little fact.
I know that the astronauts, it's still a tradition, if I recall, that they get steak and eggs for breakfast.
Oh,
I always wanted to be an astronaut just for that.
It makes risking my life so much better.
It could be your final meal.
So yeah, there you go. Feed them well. Shock absorbing sneaker soles.
What?
So the sneaker company Avia turned to NASA's suit when wanting to create a shock-absorbing sole that didn't break down under pressure. Patented compression chamber midsole created in 1990s was invented with the help of a NASA Apollo engineer. Sorry.
Okay. Well, so the NASA engineer helped with that.
Yeah. So NASA basically spawned a bunch of engineers that created all these great things.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty neat.
Hey, by the way, we got some good conversation going in here, and Morgan Byer
yes,
is piping in with some information about the Apollo, and it basically is saying that the Apollo program, as well as all space programs, Gemini, etc., was much as a military program as it was a political symbolic program, which I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
The U.S. government was, I think, mastering ballistic technology to carry warheads.
And we didn't get off to a good start on that race either.
No.
Here's another one here. When the Russians put Sputnik into orbit, pretty much the main concern of the U.S. military and government was today a satellite, tomorrow a warhead. Yep. So the space race was more a weapons delivery system race than the symbolic race of societies.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
I think so.
Well, that's absolutely. What was the name? The rocket guy.
Werner Braun?
Werner von Braun,
yep.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I had the von part. I couldn't get the Braun. So Werner von Braun, his original idea wasn't military. It was space exploration.
Yeah.
He was inspired by Goddard about
Yep.
rockets going into space, and that when the military went, "Ooh, rockets! We could launch weapons really far with this."
Well,
so
the,
he had
the
to
Germans
do that.
said that. Really, I
Yeah.
mean, they're like, "We want the bomb."
And yeah, he said, "Well, I'll do that so I can fund my hobby."
Pretty much, yeah.
Kind of like why Craig and Brian and I work all week so we can do podcasts.
Yeah,
You
because
know.
obviously
Is that-
podcasting is not funding anything else.
And it's not benefiting mankind in space.
Or is it?
Or is it?
We don't know.
All right. Should we take a quick break?
Sure.
All right, real quick break. We'll be right back with Hacks and Strange Stories and some other stuff we decided to put in the show notes. So hang on. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Nisha, the host of Nutty Bites,
And hi, I'm Tech, Nutty's regular guest.
or antagonist. Our podcast is like a call-in show where geeks get to debate topics about speculative fiction.
We don't really debate.
Sure we do. We debate topics such as lame superpowers, the best villains, and our favorite apocalypses.
We more like rant, rave, and then have massive nerd rages.
People call in from all over the world, sometimes minor celebrities, and we've even had some supervillains show up.
Do you ever notice that you never have any superheroes or good guys?
I'm a good guy.
Compared to what?
Antagonist, not really a guest. Nutty Bites, nimlast.org.
I'm Patrick Norton, TV and Quick. You're listening to Chuck and Craig on Technorama.
Brian reminded me that I misspoke at the beginning. I think I said 507 was the episode. This is actually 570. We must have hit a time warp or something.
What'd you say?
He said 507, not 570. And I'm like,
It wasn't the show notes. That was all on me. But
You know what?
good on
We could
Brian.
have said nothing and we could have fixed it in post.
No, I think it's more fun. It's the Technorama way. Duct tape, chicken wire. Put the
and
wheels
you know
on
what?
as you
I've
go
never,
down the road.
Well, I did at first, but I just stopped, editing out our ums and ahs and coughs and all that stuff,
He
and just
stopped
said,
listening is what he did.
it's so
maybe.
time consuming to do that. Oh, it's so time consuming. The lip smacks, all that. Oh.
Actually, there were times when we had lag or something wasn't right and the conversation was a little off, and I had a library of laughs and sounds of Chuck that I would cut off his track, and I just keep them around so I could add in a,
Yes,
like a
we had to record those all at once. Okay, now give me a chortle.
yeah. So I would line up the art. I would line everything up. There would be like there would be like gap, and I'd fill it in with a little something, and it sounded all natural.
It was
So,
easier to isolate those when we recorded our separate tracks and put them together later.
yes,
In other
true.
words, we just talk all over each other.
Right.
All right, should we do the Hacks and Strange Stories?
Well, we are now.
Oh, well, we're going to get into that whole biological thing now about...
Yes,
Go ahead, Craig. You seem to be eager to discuss the...
the ins and outs of space.
I guess
More
you
the
could call it
outs
that.
than
More the
ins.
outs than the ins. Yeah.
So as we alluded to earlier, about them having to leave some stuff back on the moon.
Like an outhouse? Did they have a porta potty?
They should have left one of those.
Somebody got the Sears and Roebuck catalog.
Anyway, basically, what NASA's had to overcome several, not several, but many challenges going to space, and part of that is the human body likes to excrete a lot of stuff, so
human
they
body's
had to figure out
messy.
a way to
It
handle
is
it.
messy.
Yeah, the human body's just messy, man.
I think Kimberly Clark's that their unofficial tagline is, if it comes out of your body, we've got something to wipe it up.
Right.
Wow.
Anyway, NASA's so they're working on bathroom stuff. So astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin may have been the first people to set foot on the lunar surface when Apollo 11 landed there 50 years ago on
50
July 20th.
million years
back
ago?
to- Yeah, 50 million. But they had to forego some earthly conveniences in order to pull off a moon landing. So NASA engineers were so busy trying to figure out how to get astronauts to and from the moon, they didn't bother to design a toilet. Way to go.
Yeah.
For the Apollo missions. In fact, the first toilet wouldn't be installed into a U.S. spaceship until the space shuttle got one in the 80s. So defecation and urination have been a bothersome aspect of space travel from the beginning of manned spaceflight.
Hey,
So
Craig,
Yes, sir.
I think it's really interesting, that little Skylab bit in there where they talk about technically there was a toilet on Skylab.
Oh, yeah.
But it was really just like a hole in the wall.
A hole in the wall.
Congratulations.
Just put your butt kiss up to this and go.
Yeah, your front or your back, one of the two.
That's right.
It's so cold.
Yeah. Hey, I'm stuck. I can't.
I'm stuck. Oh, man.
So, to
Also, the
pee-
ass starts bending abs here. Okay, leak. Hull breach contained.
Oh,
Oh, my.
So to pee, astronauts had to use what essentially looked like a condom, which they replaced daily, I hope, which was hooked up to a bag with a short hose. Not their short hose, another hose. And there was no female-friendly version.
No.
Since the astronauts were all men, so I guess that was convenient.
Can you imagine later on, though, when the women started to join the space program, how you had to redesign all that? Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know, right? So the procedure for dealing with poop in space was no better. In the absence of a system providing positive means for removal of feces from the body, an extremely basic system had to be relied upon for fecal collection. The device used was a plastic bag, which was taped over the buttocks to capture the feces.
Poop in space.
Guess what it was called? The fecal bag.
The fecal bag. You have your feed bag and your fecal bag. Don't get them mixed up.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I can picture Matt Damon on The Martian, opening those little coffee sealed
Dear
bags.
God, Johansson,
what did you eat?
Oh yeah, that's right. So anyway, basically that's what they did. I think they brought them all back too, and they had to dispose of them here. I don't know why they didn't just
on the
inject
moon
them into space.
Yeah. Well, there's also a pouch for toilet paper. That's interesting.
Would have had to wipe.
And a built-in finger covering so the astronauts can stay clean while positioning the bag on their butts.
And they didn't have a whole lot of maneuvering room in that capsule.
It took about 45 minutes, it says here. I'm like, what? Can you imagine if you really had to go?
You know what gets me though. You know how they always, especially when the space shuttle missions, when they're up there, everything is timed out. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this. Then you can take a break. Got to do that. Imagine going, all right, I got to go. There's no, and you got whatever you got going on.
But you're not due for another 2 hours. Hold it.
Well, and obviously, you had to pack it up and put it aside and then left it on the moon. Obviously.
You got to wait for Buzz to finish. He's just starting, so you got to wait 45 minutes.
I love it. Unsurprisingly, the report notes the problem of odor was continually present.
Oh.
Yeah, I can imagin.
Just open the door.
Imagine when they splash down and you open that hatch, like, whoa,
yeah.
Oh man.
Well, and of course they use diapers basically. So yeah. So when they're on the moon themselves, now moonwalking, they had diapers.
You'd have to.
Hey.
What are you gonna do?
Now this is something you can do, and this is interesting because relieving oneself in space is such a gross, time-consuming, and smelly task. Astronauts often took laxatives before launch and sometimes relied on drugs that kept their intestines running more slowly.
Oh, so they're constipated.
Kind of like an international flight.
That would be
pretty much.
Only worse.
Super uncomfortable. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh. Space travel used to be messy.
Well, and I remember the whole 2001 episode when he goes to use the bathroom in 2001, the movie, and how he's sitting there reading the directions and everything and that.
Yeah.
Back in the 60s.
Oh,
you're like, oh, yeah. Space travel.
No fun.
No
fun. All right, let's do a shout out to the chat room. We are on Facebook Sunday nights at 9:30, and we have a number of people who have joined us this week. Oh, we got a good number of people. There must not be any TV award shows or anything on.
I'm a draw. What can I say?
Yeah.
We called out Ranger Craig. We got Craig Stepp, Michael King, Weber Baker, longtime listener and friend of the show, John Clifford, Scott Tyler, LJ Weiss, Morgan Byers. I believe that's my cousin's wife, if I'm not mistaken.
Who?
Morgan.
No, it's a dude.
Morgan is a dude?
Mhm.
Okay, we'll go with that. Well, I got Byers in the family, so. Brenda Ineguez. Know her. Cindy Adamson. I believe she's also a relative. Who do you see, Craig?
I see the same people you're talking about.
I see dead people.
No, because I doubt Brenda is on
I
your
see
favorites
Scott
list.
Parsons, John Miller Jr.,
Okay.
Morgan Byers. Let's see.
Well, that would
Elton
make sense
Chapman.
then.
Yeah, Elton Chapman. John Clifford, Scott Tyler. Technorama podcast.
Thank you all for joining us, Technorama Podcast. If you want to be following us, go over to
my buddy
Facebook.
Scott Parsons. Oh, let me make sure I shout out him.
Go over to Facebook and go to the Technorama Podcast page. Turn on the notifications. Follow us, and you'll get a notification. If you happen to be on Facebook, it'll boom and let you know that we are there. Also want to give a thank you to the patrons. Yes, we are at full capacity.
Oh, yeah,
All
look at
rows
that.
are full.
Time to make a new row.
That's right. We need a new row just to drive Craig's ODC crazy. OCD.
No, it's ODC. Yeah, definitely.
COD?
OPP?
CDO. That's what it is.
CDO.
CDO.
Yeah, CDO.
We can't even get that right tonight. Thank you to Kyle Nishioka, Abner Braverman, Ben Vaughn, Mike Wills. Very much thank you to Megapodtastic Night Gig Studios, because they're using an alias. Gary Lindros, John Clifford, Leon, John Noble.
That Leon?
That Leon.
Oh, okay.
And our John Noble.
Okay, good.
Oh, that one.
MC
Okay.
Chris MC. Alexis Duran.
Yo.
Saturday Morning Media, another alias. Steve Therian, Jorga Schrauen. You know, we got enough that we can make them rhyme now.
It's true, almost.
John Miller Jr., thank you very much to Amber Elstad, Harold McKinstry, Amy Bowen, Denise Inglis, Stephen Weshy.
Well,
I was waiting for it. Teen Jensen, Dandy Mancoyer, and our newest patron, Mark NCAF1 Kilfoyle. Thank you very much to all
I don't
of you.
see Brian Brown's name anywhere.
I contribute by being here.
He contributes via his insurance company, paying for rent on the guest house.
There you go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Chuck and Donna have loved this consistent payment for month after month.
We haven't changed. We don't have to change the seats every
you don't have
3
to,
days.
yeah, you don't have to do all this
Yeah.
stuff.
And we got a built-in cat sitter. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
it's pretty awesome, man.
We're not gonna let him
Yeah.
go. Oh, it's a shame. Another tree.
A tree
fell
hit your
on
house. It burned your house burned down. I don't know what happened.
Never mind the chainsaw marks.
Oh my.
Thank you, everybody. If you want to be part of this crew that helps keep the show going, and I really honestly do mean that, because the hosting and bandwidth stuff does add up, and it comes in big, huge chunks every few years, and it's coming to that time. And I'm happy to say that we are close to our goal. sounds like a PBS thing.
So put your
Hold it.
donation in
Hold it.
today. Yeah.
Hey, by the way, Matt Baum just signed up as a patron. So
Awesome.
we got some more cells to fill up. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much. Technorama Podcast over at patreon.com. We greatly appreciate that. So, all right, turn that music off. Turn the music off. You got to get the fade and the finger touch thing going at the same time. So that takes us to, more Apollo news. It's in the Remember When section for whatever reason. So let's play
Actually,
that.
couldn't technically all of it be in Remember When?
Yeah, I was gonna say technically, yeah, you're right.
Yes, but, the Hacks and Straight Stories thing I can see working for us. So we have how the man who picked the Apollo 11 crew finally got to fly. Did you add this at the last second, or did I miss this? No, this is you have to read this one, Craig. It's from the La Crosse Tribune, and they want me to fill out a survey if I want to read this article. So it's up to you.
It's all on you,
well.
Craig. No pressure.
Okay, so on the morning of the launch that sent the first men to the moon, Deke Slayton knocked on the doors of Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin and
Hey,
Michael
I've got
Collins.
a great idea, guys.
Yeah,
We're gonna steal a
selling-
rocket.
I'm selling insurance.
Yes,
I'm selling
insurance.
Would you like to buy some Encyclopedia Britannica?
Yeah, knocked on the doors at 4:15.
AM
And it's
or
a beautiful
PM?
day. He says it's a beautiful day. You're go. says Slayton, NASA's director of flight crew operations. Slayton is a self-described stick and rudder jockey. Thinking for a minute.
That's not a fly-by-wire plane. It's the kind where you actually had mechanical movement.
Here, I thought he was a hockey player.
Stick and rudder.
Yeah.
From outside Sparta, he was one of the Mercury 7, NASA's first group of astronauts to make the cut.
Oh.
In fact, Slayton had been in line to be the 4th American in space until a slight heart condition grounded him before his first flight. That stinks.
You get grounded for anything.
Yeah, now Slayton drafted the roster for who could fly each mission. He picked Armstrong for Apollo 11, Aldrin to pilot the lunar module, and Collins to fly the command module. He unruffled the feathers when astronauts came to him over mission assignments, including who would take the first step on the moon. Wow. That would be a tough one
to pick. Be a tough call to make.
And he was the liaison between the astronauts and the top brass who were deciding whether Apollo 11 should be launched as scheduled. So anyway, after the Apollo 11 crew had their pre-flight medicals, Slayton joined them for traditional pre-launch breakfast of
steak and eggs.
And he rode with them for part of the 8 miles. Like, what, they make him get out and walk the rest?
Yeah. They're like, sorry, no admittance. No pass the velvet rope.
We're going to save
$2
on the parking fee.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't park it. The cops are terrible. Anyway, so he says he'd been to that pad some 20 times. He told New York Times later, every time I wished I was going all the way. Really did. I bet so. So you can go back and talk about some of his experiences working with the space program. It's kind of a lengthy article, so I'll just let you go and check it out yourself.
Our last one comes from NPR. It's the story about how they chose the camera that went to the moon. And Donna, can you put up that first picture? There's a couple of things I'm noticing in here. First of all, is that a map of the Earth or coffee stains?
Yeah, it looks like.
Why does the guy holding the camera have 2 watches? And man, that's a heck of a lot of pencils and pens without a pocket protector.
NASA always has redundant systems, even on the left and right wrist.
There's just so much to comment on this picture that has nothing to do with the cameras.
Hey, the guy on the right looks like he's like, come on, I want to try it.
Yeah, my turn.
You said so.
It's not a GAF Viewmaster. Come on.
Oh, here you go. Morgan Byers chimes in again.
Yes.
Time zones.
Yeah, so I kind of figured it was time zones, but I wasn't sure.
And nowadays, I got digital watches, which are pretty cool, and I can just kind of...
Oh, so they could say it's this time in London and it's this time at NASA kind of thing? Like I have the clocks in the studio?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
East Coast, West Coast? I don't know.
So in the summer of 1962, Walter Schirra... have you read a story yet, Brian?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one.
Okay. Just want to make sure you're included on this show.
It's okay. I understand.
You want this one too?
No, it's cool. No, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
In the summer of 62, it was a summer of 62. Walter Schirra, who would soon become America's third man in orbit of the Earth. I was singing Summer 69 by Brian Adams.
I gotcha. Okay. Oh, I figured it.
That would be an appropriate song tonight, wouldn't it? Summer of 69 for the Apollo thing?
Something like that. Yeah.
Anyway, he would become America's third man in orbit of Earth, walked into a Houston photo supply shop looking for a camera.
So what I need is a camera I can take into space. Yeah, buddy, get out of here.
You're talking crazy talk. Get out of here.
I got a 126. He came out with the Hasselblad 500C. That doesn't have anything to do with the temperature it was rated to. It was a high-end Swedish import that had been... They used Hasselblads for a long time on these space missions. Had been recommended to him by photographers from Life and National Geographic. And you know what? When they recommend something, you generally listen. He was sort of an amateur photographer, Jennifer Levasseur said, a curator in charge of the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum's astronaut cameras, says Schirra. Somewhere along the line, the decision was made that he could select what camera was flown on his flight. Well, that would have been an interesting responsibility.
Yeah.
Hey, Schirra, go pick something out, will you?
Yeah, try to keep it under...
Here's $50.
Yeah, $50. That's...
The one astronaut has like a Hasselblad, and the other one's got like a disposable one from the
Kodak.
convenience store.
Yeah.
Shearer was much more sophisticated and pricey choice than the simple Ansco auto set that John Glenn bought for $40 at the Cocoa Beach, Florida drugstore.
There you go, right there.
Yeah,
John,
there you go.
John was a bit of an oddball, wasn't he, when it came to things that the other astronauts did. So while the other astronauts were driving Corvettes because they could buy them for
Right,
$1,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Glenn was driving around this. What was it? It was this
Chevy Corvair.
No, it was like this little European thing. It was on Grand Tour, wasn't it, Donna? You know, he's going
Yacht.
It was kind of like a little Fiat putt car. Like, really, John? So, yeah, the drugstore thing goes right in line. It gives you insight to the man.
Yeah.
But hey, I would have voted for him for senator if he was in my state. But that's what he took pictures with in French of 7 in February 62. The Hasselblad retailed for about $500.
Back in 62.
That's
Think
a
about
lot
that.
of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. But
That
thinking
is.
about it
They've
today,
always been pricey, but yeah, that's yes.
it used a much larger negative, which is going to get than Glenn's 35 millimeter. But boy, when you want to capture
had the Zeiss
details,
lenses. Yeah.
oh
Nice.
yeah. So
The one where he's saluting the flag, that's a awesome picture.
when NASA got to look at Shearer's Hasselblad, they liked what they saw. The space agency purchased at least one more. Engineers tore into the off-the-shelf consumer model to make sure it was space-worthy. They stripped it down to save weight, painted it dull black to reduce reflections. Then they also had to, quote, astronaut-proof it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're wearing those big gloves, you're not going to be able to be turning dials real easy. So
True.
you want to be fitting that up. Fairly long article with some gorgeous
Awesome
pictures.
pictures, yeah.
Gorgeous pictures. Color and black and white.
Oh, so amazing.
I could look at these all day. This is truly space porn here.
They did a good job of recreating how it really never happened. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The moon
priceless.
rover. Yeah. Yeah. Just
God, this is amazing. Amazing pictures.
these are just awesome. Donna's
Hey,
got a
what's
few
really
of them going
cool
on the
is
screen.
the picture with the lunar rover.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can totally
Yeah,
see
the rover.
look at the tires.
saluting the flag.
Look at the tires. You can see the.
I gotta scroll
up, yeah.
way back.
Right there. No, right there.
Yeah.
Oh, the big one with in the
Oh,
foreground.
look at the tires. Look at it. Such detail, man.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. I think that's our last article in the show, is it not? It is. Oh, so we're going to close with a question for you. What NASA or other space mission sticks out in your mind? Now, we have listeners of all ages. I know where our general demographic is, but this will be interesting because
I know mine.
I know mine too.
A few of us remember the actual space Apollo 11 landing. I got to ask my family, where the heck were we? Because I should have been old enough to remember this. I don't know where we were or what was going on. It was probably past my bedtime or something.
I vaguely remember it, but it was so blurry.
But as you get into the later ones, we talked about the handshake in space in
Yeah.
75. There was obviously the shuttle disasters, both of them.
I'll tell you one that sticks out in my mind right now.
What's
and
that?
that is when the original shuttle came in for its first landing.
Oh, yeah.
Or the test
Wasn't
flight
so
of
much-
the Enterprise launching off the
it
back
wasn't-
of the Boeing 747.
It wasn't so much as watching it take off. I remember seeing that. I mean, we've seen that a million times. But it's that first time everybody's on the edge of the seat waiting for it to come in.
What was the phrase he uttered out when he landed?
Holy
Thank
crap.
God.
No, right on the money.
Right on the money.
Right on the money. So yeah,
Where's
that was
my
memorable.
Where's my bag so I can poop?
I think the most memorable one was in the movie 2012 when they landed in the LA Canal. Yeah, that was it. That was the most memorable
Or they went
one.
out to the asteroid to blow it up.
Yeah, exactly. And Armageddon. Yeah, that's the most. Yeah.
That was
Bruce
pretty
Willis?
memorable.
Yeah.
You said space mission. It's kind of general.
Yeah, okay. The TARDIS out in space looking at the universe ending.
Sure.
That's going to be memorable. Stay on target.
Stay on
There you go.
Porkins, no.
See, people, this is what I have to work with.
What space mission sticks on your mind? Porkins, no.
Porkins, no. Negative. Just packed it on the surface.
You know our listeners are going to go there now that we open that door. Thank you very much for joining us. Thanks, Brian, for hanging out.
Thank you for having me, as always.
The thing we forgot to mention about being a Patreon member is we're going to record another show right after this, and only they get to listen to it.
It's true.
It's not highly produced. This is like insightful. This is where our brains go.
Brains go.
It's raw.
It's raw and meandering discussion. It could take 10 minutes. It could take 30 minutes. We have no idea.
10 minutes? I've never seen a 10-minute one.
I think their first couple were 10 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
So,
what you want to talk about?
You like computers? Yeah. Okay, we're good.
Oh my.
Then I sign us out with the...
That button
Are
there?
we still doing the long format? We are doing the long format on the ending. Yes, because we want to hear from you. Call us on the listener line with your favorite space mission, or just wait for it to show up on social media. 707. That's the old airplane. 707-530-2428. We want to hear from you, or send us an email, technorama@chuckchat.com. We'd love to hear from you regarding this or any other Apollo 11 memories that you have. We will be back with show 571, probably in a week. Brian, you might be around.
I suppose so. For show 517, sure.
715, 175. We're
going to start over.
Slice it any way we can.
Slice, I remember that.
Until then, Craig, give us a binary high five.
All righty. 101 to the moon.
There's a 0 between Apollo 11, Apollo 101.
That's right. Apollo 101.
Recording done. All right. Thank you very much, everybody who joined us on Facebook. Any final comments we want to jump in here? Wow, Morgan was prolific at the end.
I know, right?
Ooh, Apollo 8's Earthrise. Yes.
Yeah, that was.
Apollo 13's heroic rescue. Dang,
Yes.
yes. And
They got Kevin Bacon out of there.
See, it's because you can't have Tom Hanks drive anything.
if it weren't
It's like
for
him or
Tom
Matt
Hanks,
Damon,
we
yeah.
wouldn't have got back.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
It should have been Matt Damon up there. We rescue him all the time.
Right. All the time.
Thank you, everybody. Watch out on Facebook. We are going to sign off. And like I said, we're going to record that Patreon show. And talk to you again soon.
Bye.
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 Thanks, Donna.
And we're clear. No.
Buzz.
I know.
That is awesome.